Hello everyone and welcome to the first ever Cartoon Football League. We got 32 cartoons, most of them animated, a few Muppets, hint hint, and all 32 of these teams are going to go head to head for 17 weeks to see who is going to reign supreme in the Super Bowl. These divisions are organized. We're going to go through all of them. We're going to go through all the rosters. I'll show you who's starting at quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end on each team. Most teams have 6 players, a quarterback, a running back, a tight end, 2 wide receivers, and a kicker. I would have loved to put some of these players on defense, but we're going to be watching the offenses go to work here. Every single player is a 99 overall to keep this consistent. But without further ado, let's hop right into the divisions. In the AFC North, we have the SpongeBob SquarePants team. Starting at quarterback, obviously, is SpongeBob himself. Couldn't put SquarePants as his last name because Madden doesn't let you put that many characters in the last name. At running back is his buddy Patrick Star. He's a big boy. He's going to be the bulldozer at running back for Team SpongeBob. Our wide receivers, we have Sandy Cheeks and Squidward Tentacles. Squidward's got a height advantage and Sandy is just quick because she's a squirrel. So wide receivers they are. At tight end, we have Eugene Krabs, the big boy. And finally, Sheldon Plankton has joined the ranks with the team to be the kicker. I forgot to mention, the AFC North is our early to mid 2000s Nickelodeon shows. So first we got SpongeBob. Next up in the AFC North is the Jimmy Neutron team. Quarterbacking is obviously Jimmy Neutron. It's always the main character. At running back is Jimmy's dog Goddard. Longtime best friend Sheen is going to be a wide receiver, as well as longtime crush of Jimmy, Cindy Vortex, as the other receiver. At tight end, of course, is Carl Weezer. Hopefully he doesn't get a scapula injury. And finally, Libby Fulfax will be the kicker of this team. Third team in the AFC North are the Airbenders, the Avatar Last Airbender characters. Obviously, Aang, the Airbender, is going to quarterback this team along with his running back, Appa. Appa, unfortunately, is nerfed and cannot fly in this rule. However, Appa is another big boy who is going to carry the load of running back. Katara and Sokka are our wide receivers, Aang's 2 best friends. Finally, Uncle Iroh is turning the clock back to play tight end. And then, of course, we have Momo, the little guy, as our kicker. Last team in the AFC North are the Fairly Odd Parents. Timmy Turner, the little guy, is going to be quarterbacking this team, along with Poof, the baby, at running back. She's got the short size, gonna burst through the hole and just slip under all those tackles. Then we got Wanda and Cosmo, of course, as our wide receivers, the Fairly Godparents themselves. And Vicky, the evil babysitter, is gonna be our tight end. Finally, Mr. Crocker is gonna feel the pressure of all the game-winning kicks as our kicker. So that's the AFC North, the Nickelodeon division. Moving to the AFC West, this is sort of our classic adult animation division. And of course, The Simpsons kick it off, one of the most classic shows of all time. We got Homer Simpson in here. I didn't name everybody Simpson because you wouldn't know who was who. At halfback, we got Bart the son, so if Bart messes up, Homer will strangle him. And then we got Lisa and Marge, the ladies, as our wide receivers. Finally, Ned Flanders is going to be our tight end, so Homer and Ned are going to have to put aside their differences here and play together on an offense. Finally, Maggie, the baby, is our kicker. Just seemed like the easiest role to put her in, so she's got an important position on this Simpsons team. Next up is Family Guy. We got Peter Griffin as our quarterback. He's probably one of the biggest quarterbacks in the league. And then Stewie, the baby, again, for just the short advantage, is going to play running back for Family Guy. Quagmire is going to be one of the receivers along with Peter's wife, Lois. Finally, Brian, the dog, is going to be our tight end. And Meg is going to be our kicker. Didn't have room for Chris. Sorry, Chris. Next up in the AFC West is our South Park division. I put Stan Marsh as the quarterback because there's not necessarily a kid who's like the main character. Stan just always kind of felt like the main character to me for some reason, but anyway. Kenny McCormick is going to be our running back because running backs often get killed behind the line of scrimmage, so it just seemed like a perfect fit for Kenny. And then we got Butters and Kyle Braflosky as our wide receivers, and Cartman, the big boy, is going to be our tight end. Finally, Chef is making his return as our kicker. The last team in this AFC West division is the Futurama team. Philip J. Fry is our quarterback, obviously. And then we have Bender as our running back. Zoidberg and Leela are our wide receivers, and Amy Wong is going to play tight end for us. Finally, our kicker is Nibbler. So this is the Futurama team. It's a show I'm not as familiar with as the other ones. Hope I put these people in good positions. Moving over to the AFC East, these are our classic Cartoon Network shows. And the first one we have is Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. So Mac, the little kid, is our quarterback for this team. Blue is, of course, the running back. Blue just gives me running back vibes. Obviously, Wilt, the big, tall athlete, and Frankie Foster, she's one of the taller people from the show, are going to be our wide receivers. And Eduardo, the bull, is going to be our tight end. And then finally, Cheese is our kicker. The next Cartoon Network team is the Chowder team. Chowder, obviously playing quarterback, and Panini is actually going to get running back duties. I thought about putting Schnitzel here, but we had a better spot for him. At wide receiver, we got Truffles and Mungdal, the husband and wife, obviously have to play alongside each other. And Schnitzel is going to be our tight end. Just seemed like a perfect fit for the Rada Rada guy. And of course, Gorgonzola will be our kicker. Next up in this division is the regular show. I put Rigby at quarterback. I could have been Mordecai. Maybe it should have been Mordecai, but I just feel like Rigby would really want to play quarterback if he had the chance. At running back is Muscle Man. He's going to get in there. He's going to make everyone smell him, and they're not going to touch him, so I think he'll be good at the running back position. At wide receiver, we got Benson and Mordecai, the two taller people from the show. And finally, of course, obviously Skips is our tight end, and at kicker we have Pops. Finally, in the Cartoon Network division, we have Ed, and Eddie team. Now, I watched Ed, and Eddie a good bit when I was a kid, but I never really rewatched it as an adult, so I don't quite remember who, like, the main, like, Ed is. But anyway, I did 1D Ed as the quarterback. Running back, I put Plank, which is... I just remember Plank vividly, so I wanted to put Plank in the team somewhere. And then Eddie and Ed are our wide receivers. Tight end is Rolf. Our kicker is Johnny 2x4. He's the one who had Plank. I can't put Plank on the team without Johnny 2x4. So that's your Cartoon Network division. The AFC South is your old school cartoons. So the first one we have are the Flintstones. Fred Flintstone is playing quarterback, and then we got Barney, his best friend, is running back. And we got the ladies, the wives, Betty and Wilma as our wide receivers, and Bam Bam, the baby, as the tight end. And then finally, Pebbles, the other baby, is going to be the kicker for the Flintstones. Next up, we got the Ninja Turtles. Leonardo is going to play quarterback for the Ninja Turtles, and then Raphael, the wacky guy, is of course going to play running back. At wide receiver, we got Mikey and Donatello, so everybody's got a skill position here. And Splinter, the rat lord of the Turtles, is going to play tight end. At kicker, we have April O'Neil. I don't know who April O'Neil is, but I know she's a character in the Mutant Ninja Turtles series. Next up in the old school cartoon series, one of my favorites, the Looney Tunes. Bugs Bunny is obviously playing quarterback here. And then we have Porky Pig as our running back. Marvin Martian and Daffy Duck are going to handle wide receiver duties. And then Elmer Fudd, instead of shooting rabbits, he's going to be catching rabbit passes as the tight end. It was tough to pick one more Looney Tune character, but I went with Roadrunner as our kicker. Lastly, in the old school cartoons division, we have Scooby-Doo, which Scooby is of course going to play quarterback. This show is named after him. He's the main character. Running back is his, I don't know if it's his cousin or his brother, but Scrappy-Doo is going to get some halfback duties in the backfield. And then Shaggy and Daphne are actually going to be our wide receivers here. And Velma is going to be our tight end, which leaves Fred as our kicker. So that's the AFC. We're going to move over to the NFC, specifically the NFC North, which is our children's show division. First shows I think of when I think of children's shows is of course Dora the Explorer, and Dora is going to be handling quarterback duties for this team. Boots, her sidekick, has to be lined up in the backfield with her. At wide receiver, her cousin Diego, and Swiper is going to be swiping some balls out of the air, and Map is going to be our tight end. Finally, Backpack is going to be handling kicking duties. The Backyardigans, a show some of you probably remember if you're the same age as me. We got Uniqua at the quarterback position. Tyrone, the Moose, is going to be moosing it up with some running back duties, going to be trucking and plowing through the line. We got Austin and Pablo, the boys, as our wide receivers. Finally, Tasha, the hippo, will be handling tight end duties. I think I forgot to mention there's a few teams that will not have kickers because there's just not enough main characters. So the Backyardigans is the first one, but there's a few more coming up that will not have animated characters. I said animated shows, but I hinted that there's some Muppet shows in here as well. So the first one is our Sesame Street team. Big Bird is our quarterback purely for the size advantage. I mean, he is just an absolute specimen, athletic. He's gonna get the job done as quarterback. Then we got Elmo in the backfield. Feel like this spot made the most sense for Elmo. Our wide receivers are Ernie and Bert. Has to be two people that get along, and Ernie and Bert are best friends, which obviously leaves Cookie Monster as our tight end. And at kicker, I chose Grover. The other Muppet team is just the Muppets themselves. It's kind of fun. We have Kermit as our quarterback, not to be confused with Patrick Mahomes. We got Miss Piggy in the backfield with him, of course. Our wide receivers, I chose Animal and Gonzo. And then at tight end, we have Fozzie Bear. Lastly, our kicker is Rolf the dog. Moving over to the NFC East, this is like our other adult animation / cult classic series / Mike Judge division. But of course, we got the King of the Hill team with Hank Hill playing quarterback. Obviously, if you've seen the show, we had to put the Bulldozer at running back. At wide receiver, we got Boomhauer and Dill Gribble, which leaves Bobby Hill as our tight end. At kicker is Hank's wife, Peggy Hill. I just feel like she would want the pressure of being the kicker. She's going to feel great when she makes these game-winning kicks. Second, we have the other Mike Judge team, Beavis and Butthead. Butthead is playing quarterback because I just don't think he would let Beavis play quarterback. At running back is Beavis because he just wants to see Beavis get destroyed on the line. Our wide receivers are Mr. Van Driesen, the teacher, and Todd, the guy that Beavis and Butthead think is cool. And at tight end, we got Coach Buzzcut. Thought about making Daria the kicker, but it's going to be Stuart, the kid that Beavis and Butthead think is a dork. And so that's the Beavis and Butthead team. Next up, we got our Aqua Teen Hunger Force team. Master Shake is playing quarterback for this team. He's the leader of the Hunger Force. And at running back, we got Carl, their neighbor, the big guy. At wide receiver, we of course have Frylock and Meatwad, the other two main characters. At tight end, the only other main character in the show, Dr. Weird. This team does not have a kicker. Finally, in the cult classic adult animation division, we got the Smiling Friends with Pim as our starting quarterback. And we got Mr. Frog as our running back. Mr. Frog just screams running back. And then we have Mr. Boss and Alan, the two tallest Smiling Friends, as our wide receivers. And of course, Charlie as our tight end, along with Glep, the final Smiling Friend, as our kicker. Next up, we got the NFC West. This is kind of another division like the first one, which has a couple older Nickelodeon shows and Cartoon Network shows. The first one we got are the Rugrats, in which Tommy Pickles will be playing quarterback. Angelica, his sister, will be lining up in the backfield with him as the running back. Susie Carmichael and Chucky Finster are going to be the wide receivers for this team. And of course, Dill Pickles, the baby pickle, will be the tight end. Stu Pickles, the dad, is going to be the kicker. This is a team that does not have a size advantage whatsoever. Every player is as short as they could possibly be because they are all babies. Next up in this division is Hey Arnold. Obviously, Arnold Footballhead is going to be the quarterback. He is named after the sport itself, goddammit. And then we got Harold Berman, the big kid, as the running back. At wide receiver, we got Gerald Johansson, the athlete, and Helga Pataki, who has a long-time crush on Arnold. And at tight end, Grandpa Phil turning back the clock to play some football. Lastly, Brainy is our kicker. Next team in the NFC West are the Powerpuff Girls. Buttercup is going to be our quarterback, along with Mojo Jojo the monkey. I think he's a monkey from what I remember, in the backfield. And then we got Blossom and Bubbles, the other two Powerpuff Girls, as our wide receivers, along with Sarah Bellum, the chick you never saw her face, at tight end. And our kicker is Professor Utonium, the creator of the Powerpuff Girls himself. Lastly, from this division, we got the Pokemon team. This is based off the Cartoon Network Pokemon show from like the late 90s. We got Ash Ketchum, obviously, as our quarterback. In the backfield with him, of course, his best friend Pikachu. And then we got Bulbasaur and Squirtle as our wide receivers, and Charizard as our tight end. I didn't do Charmander, he's just because Charmander's too small to play tight end. I decided to give Charizard the upgrade at tight end. And then at kicker, we got Misty, only other person other than Ash who is not a quarterback. Finally, our last division is the NFC South. This division doesn't really have a theme, it's just the leftovers. The first one we got is Rick and Morty. Rick Sanchez is playing quarterback, obviously, and Morty beside him in the backfield. At wide receiver, we got Summer, and I decided to put a Mr. Meeseeks at wide receiver. I just thought that would be interesting to see. And then Jerry, the dad, is our tight end. And to round out the family, we put Beth at kicker. Also in this division is Phineas and Ferb. I never really watched this show, so I'm not familiar with the characters, but I looked them up. Phineas seemed like the main character, so he's the quarterback. Harry the Platypus, I'm familiar with. He's going to play running back. Candace, the sister, and Ferb are going to play wide receiver. And then Buford Van Stom just looked like a tight end. I don't know if he's a main character or important, but this dude has tight end written all over him. And then our kicker is Dr. Doofenshmirtz. I couldn't fit his name. Next up is the BoJack Horseman team. Obviously, BoJack is the quarterback of this team. He's probably the biggest quarterback in the league as he's a horse. He's got the height advantage, 6'11". At running back is Mr. Peanut Butter the dog. At wide receiver is Diane Nguyen, as well as Princess Carolyn. And then Todd Chavez is going to play tight end for this team, which is interesting. And finally, a kicker is Hollyhock. Yes, I know I spelled her name wrong. It looks like Holy Hawk. The final team in the league is the Bob's Burgers team. Obviously, Bob is our quarterback. At running back, we got Gene, his son. At wide receiver is Louise, his daughter with the pink bunny thing, and then Linda, his wife. And at tight end, Tina just seems like she would play tight end. Finally, longtime friend of Bob, Teddy, will be playing kicker. So there is our 32 teams. We're gonna save the rest of the games for the next episode in this series. We will play the first game of the season before we end the video, so let's hop in and see who it is. Our first matchup are the Muppets versus Bob's Burgers. Interesting game to kick off this series. Yeah, let's hop in, simulate this game, and see what happens. It's 10-3. Fourth quarter, clock ticking, 2nd and 1. Bob's Burgers has the ball. Let's see what they do here. Bob, he's gonna throw. He finds Linda, his wife. She gets to the 22. 1st and 10 from the 22. They blitz. Offense picks it up. Linda again gets down to the 8. That's gonna take us to the 2-minute warning, but Bob's Burgers in good position to tie this game. Bob's Burgers 5 for 8 on 3rd down. Pretty good stats. They're at the 4-yard line. They need to get in the end zone to keep this game alive. Bob's gonna run for himself, and Bob from Bob's Burgers scores the touchdown. They just need the kicker to tie things up. I forget what his name is. Bob's friend, the kicker, needs to make this extra point, and he's got it. It's 10-10. Kermit throws. Oh, it's picked off. Bad throw by Kermit, and now all Bob's Burgers needs to do is run the clock and score a field goal. We'll see what happens. Anything can happen. The Muppets still have 3 timeouts, but that is just soul-crushing if you're a Muppets fan. Bob's just going to hand it off to Gene, and Gene has a 1st down. That's probably going to do it. And the kick is up and good. Teddy with the kick. Could be a game winner. We'll see what happens on this kick return. Squib. It's a squib, and Gonzo picks it up, and Gonzo has good field position. Maybe this game's not over. They're at the 38. All they need is like 20 yards to get in field goal range. Has time. They're coming. He throws short. It's knocked down. 15 seconds left on the clock. Kermit. He had a man wide open on the side. It's incomplete. It's 4th down. They have to go for it. This is the ball game. 4th and 10. 3 seconds to go. This is it. Kermit, what are you doing? Kermit spins out of a tackle. That was the worst attempt I think I've ever seen at winning a game. All right, Bob's Burgers is going to take this one 13-10. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you in the next video. We will go through every game of the week in this Cartoon Football League, so stay tuned for that. See you guys in the next one. Peace.